Hello, I'm Blaise Egan, and this is the induction webinar for sections and special interest groups. So the first thing I need to say is that please notice that we are recording. If you have a problem with that, then get back to us. Okay, so I'd like to start with some introductions. I'm Blaise Egan. I'm the Honorary Officer for Sections and Groups. So I'm the person on council who takes an interest in sections and groups, and so I can report to council and feedback to groups what council's doing. So that's the agenda. I'd like to get people to, well, sorry, more introductions. We have with us today Amika Noegbara, who's the Member Engagement Manager. And we also have Paul Gentry, who is the Conference and Events Manager, and they will be doing their own sessions as well. We also have some other members of staff who will introduce themselves at the time. So if I could get the attendees to introduce themselves, that'd be good, just so that we know everybody, because we won't have all met before. Do we have Yume Ruby Chang on the call? No. Okay. Emma, I can see you there. Can you just say a few words about yourself, please?
Hi there. So I'm Emma Horton, and I'm a researcher at the Research Centre INRIA in Bordeaux.
Okay. You're with Applied Probability.
Sorry, yeah. So I'm a probabilist. I'm in part of the Applied Probability section, yeah.
Okay. Jake. Can you...
Hi, yeah, I'm Jake. I work as a senior medical statistician at the University of Leeds, and I've just become the secretary of the YSS, the Young Statistician section.
Okay. Giles.
Hi everyone, I'm Giles Pavey. I work at Unilever, which is the manufacturing company that makes Marmite and Magnums and pot noodles. Among other things, I'm a data scientist, and I am the vice chair of the data science and AI section, if I've remembered our name correctly. Is that right, Paul? Have I got it right? I think it's right.
Ryan, have we done you?
Hi there. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Ryan. I'm also on the Young Statisticians section with Jake. I think mine's the meeting secretary officer role, I think. And I'm a data scientist based in London for Net-a-Porter. And we sell very expensive dresses and then another luxury fashion. Yeah, that's me.
It's interesting. Do we have Maria Deloria from research? No. Okay, I'll move along. So, as I said, I'm the Honorary Officer for Sections and Groups. There's an email address for me, and you can see my picture. I work for BT. I've been working for BT for over 40 years. I've passed the normal retirement age. I'm a sort of roving statistician, helping people get out of statistical holes they've got it themselves in. As far as the society is concerned, I've been a member since the early 80s. I can't remember exactly when. But I've been a chartered statistician since 2007, and I would encourage everybody to go for chartered status if they can. The sections and the local groups are supposed to help to contribute towards the society's strategic goals. So it's probably not a bad idea to just remind you what those strategic goals are. The first one is for statistics to be used effectively in the public interest. The second one is for society to be more statistically literate. And we also want a strong body of professional statisticians. And we promote the statistics as a discipline. And we want an engaged membership and staff to work collaboratively with partner organisations. And the last one is we want the organisation to be well run and financially sound. So those are our goals, and say the sections will have a role in contributing to that. So we've got 17 sections. They cover a wide range of interests, and it's not static. New things pop up, like data science, for example, and so we have a process for introducing new sections when the need or demand emerges, and that's our special interest groups, and they're kind of like incubators for new sections. They get 3 years funding, and then they get assessed as to whether they should be promoted to a full section or not. So at the moment we've got 3 special interest groups: finance and economics, teaching statistics, and women in data science and statistics. All the sections have council representatives. You should know who your council representative is, and the council representative can feed back from council what's going on at council meetings that's relevant to the section, but also can report back to council what's going on in the section. So it's a two-way flow. So is that clear, or any questions? Anything not clear about that?
Just clear for me.
Yeah, seems good.
Okay, in that case, I'll hand over to Amika to talk about governance and committee support.
Hi, everyone. Hello. My name is Amaka. I'm the Member Engagement Manager at the RSS. I work closely with my colleague Amira to support sections and local groups and special interest groups. So I've put on this slide our email address as well, so that you can contact us if you have any questions. So within the society, we, myself and Amira, we sit on the membership team, and we support and deliver the membership function within that team. So we basically look after all sort of the volunteering initiatives that we use to kind of encourage our members to get involved in our work. So as well as sections and groups, there are other initiatives which we also deliver, like the Station for Society program. As Blaise mentioned, sections contribute to the delivery of the society's strategic goals. So there are many ways that sections are involved, and they mainly start with running an annual program of events. So we encourage sections to deliver events and engage with our members. So if you're new to the role, that will be one of the things that you will be, as a committee, working towards delivering your activities throughout the year. Some sections organize sessions at the RSS Conference, and Paul will go into more detail on how that works. But as part of that, we always encourage sections to put forward session plans that they would like to deliver at a conference. A lot of our sections and special interest group also collaborate with each other to organize events, especially when there are sessions that tie in with both groups. So it's worth considering whenever there's an event idea within the committee, whether you can work with another section to deliver it, because sometimes it could be a joint budget. It could be they could support you in promoting that event as well, suggestions for speakers. So those are some of the ways that you can collaborate and work with our sections, but also our local groups, in also taking your meetings to other areas in the UK. So do consider that as well. So sections and special interest groups also help us engage with the membership. So a lot of the time, sections have their own website, blog sites and social media accounts which they run, so people can join those and follow you online and can see what kind of interests you have and follow sort of your conversation around that as well. Our sections are also involved with special projects sometimes within the society, such as last year our data science section have been involved with our data science task force. Our statistics and law section have created guides for non-statisticians. So these are the many ways that we also encourage sections to get involved with the activities in the society. Sections are invited as well by our policy team to take part in policy consultations. So do look out for emails from the policy department about that as well. They nominate people for our honors and awards. So we try to, as a society, recognize statisticians who have made good impact within the community. So we do encourage sections to try and put people forward for awards as well. For sections, they're also involved with our discussion meetings. So this is an old tradition within the society, and all our sections have representatives within the discussion meetings committee. So whenever people submit papers to our journals, the committee will review it and encourage the sections to also review that paper and act as a way of making sure that it does meet the criteria for a paper that should be published in our journal. So a lot of our sections have representative within that committee. And there's also the publications network, which a lot of sections has representatives on. So for those who have interest in just our publication and what we do as a society in terms of significance, and the journals as well. So hopefully this list and many more are there. You'll be able to find something that's of interest to not just yourself, but also new people who are joining the committee. As I mentioned, we are the main contact for sections. So if you do have any questions, if you're not sure who to contact, if you want to find out more about the certain activity and you don't know who to ask, then feel free to come to me. I'm always happy to help assist with any queries at all. I'm going to go through the rest of the items on this list on how we support your various activities and make sure that you do get the exposure you should have within the society, and also how we encourage good practice as well. So within governance activities, we provide sections with set of documents at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to be doing that in the next week, providing you with the regulations, so you can have a better understanding of how, as a section, you should operate. So the regulations, it explains a lot of how sections are structured, what your remit should be, and what activities you should get involved in. So it's always worth having a look at it to understand what you should be doing as a committee, how long you can serve within any new roles you're in, and what expectations within the society we have as well. So do have a look at this if you're not really sure where to start. Also within the regulations, we do provide a service level agreement which explains what we as a society will provide to sections and special interest groups. And we also provide you with information who you should contact and when you should contact them. So it's always worth knowing who within the society supports you, because it's not just myself and Paul. There are other staff members who contribute to the delivery of your work as well. So the IT team in many ways are involved with that side of the work. I'm going to pause here because I think, Giles, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just going to ask a quick question. On the previous slide, I think when you talked about the sections and regulations and stuff. Yeah. So we had in our section, we had a bit of a dance around in terms of trying to work out, because people, had been in roles for too long and things like this. So is that something that is like regularly reviewed, or how does that work in terms of whether those things are ever change and what the purpose of them all are? About how long people can stay in roles and stuff like that.
I mean, I think we so far the regulation sort of explains how long a committee member can serve, which is 10 years, and then how we expect turnover within the committee. So within certain roles, I think it is reviewed regularly because we do get queries quite a lot about serving on as a chair or serving as a secretary. And, we do check it as much as possible to make sure that it's fit for purpose. So, if there's ever that issue, then come to us and we can maybe look at what we can do to make sure that it works for the section itself. But usually, I think the chair serves 3 years, the other officers serve 4, and the other committee members will serve 4 years. So, but they're expected to move around with if they want to stay on for the whole 10-year period on the committee. Yeah.
Okay. I was just sort of keen to understand what the process was and whatever. That's cool. Thank you.
No problem. And what we do is that when we get to your AGM time, we give you that information. So if it does affect you within your role, then you can have discussions within the committee about how the movement will happen as well. So, okay. So the service level agreement, we try to give you more information on who you should contact. But as I mentioned, if you're not quite sure and if it's not as up to date as possible, then feel free to come to me and I will provide you with the staff member who you should contact as well. In terms of resources, we also provide an activity timetable for sections and special interest groups. So this is a list of activities, initiatives within the society that would happen within the year. So from January to December, we will try and make sure that web pages are updated. We engage with sections as well. So these induction webinars and any meetings that we have with sections, it's all listed here. And other activities like the honors, we mention when those deadlines will happen and when conference session plan deadlines should also take place. So do have a look at it, because I think I've known some sections who try and structure their committee meetings based on that. So if there's any item that should be raised at those meetings, they tend to pull it out of the activity record so that they know what necessary arrangements need to be made in time to make any submissions as well. And what we try to do internally is also send you monthly updates with reminders on what upcoming deadlines are, so you can plan your activities around that as well. Other useful resources we try and provide to sections is around any other infrastructures you're using within the society. So last year we did big piece of work around providing sections and special interest groups with Microsoft Office accounts, so that you have an email address and you have all the Microsoft packages as well. So we've provided guides based on that so that you can use it to run your Microsoft account as well. So if you have taken on that responsibility for your section, feel free to have a look at these guides. If you're not sure how to create invites on Teams, or if you're not sure on how to store things on OneDrive, so it's worth having a look at as well. And I'll tell you where that's stored as well later in my slides. And there are also other guides like the mailing platform that we set up for sections and groups. So to allow you to send emails to those who are subscribed to your to receive emails from you. So there is a guide around that. So also I'll show you where that is. And if you do have that responsibility, I will let you know that you have access to that, and we'll give you this guide as well so that you can use it. Another resource which I wanted to highlight was around sort of agenda template, which we created, I think, a couple of years ago for sections. So it's just to give you structure if you're new to the role and not sure how to create your meeting agendas. So it covers everything from when to discuss RSS business, when to discuss your events and upcoming meetings. So do have a look at it as well, and I'll show you where you can find these materials as well. Any questions?
Not from me.
Great. So as I mentioned, we do update your, I don't think I mentioned this actually, but at the start of the year, we do update your committee page, your web page. Basically, we make sure that everything is up to date as possible, so members can see, or visitors can see, you know, who's on the committee, what's your remit, and to, you know, make sure that any annual reports that you've provided is also listed on your page. So the main one we try to do is just your committee membership. We try and make sure that those who are new to the committee and any roles that has changed within the committee as well, we update that information. So as I mentioned, this area of the website where committee members are listed, we always try and update that. We give those who have access to submit events, we will update access rights to that section of your web page as well. So you should be able to see the button to create new events as well. And as I mentioned, newsletters, we try and make sure that you have access to the mailing platform within the website so you can send emails. And this responsibility is mainly given to the secretary and the meeting secretary. So two people will have access to be able to submit events and to create newsletters for their section or SIG. So look out for emails around that too. So in terms of submitting, supporting your activities the rest of the year, so we'll be contacting you later this month about updating your remit. This is a responsibility of the vice chair to kind of coordinate that activity, making sure that the committee has an up-to-date activity that matches the RSS strategic goals, but also your plans for the year. So it's what making sure that it's part of what you do in the next three months. So this is the remit. Basically, it has everything from the background, what the section is about, what the what your aims are, how you plan to deliver those objectives, so your working method and who your target audience is. So it's what encouraging new members to take part in this piece of work because they might have interests that might not already be listed within your remit. So we take this information once it's complete and it's put on your webpage so people can see what you plan to do across the year. We also would support you in making sure that you deliver your annual general meeting at the end of the year, but also promote any vacancies within the committee. So if as part a piece of work we do every quarter is we contact you to find out who's on the committee. So if anybody's left, we'll ask you whether you want to promote the vacancy to RSS members and find somebody to fill that vacancy. So it's always worth considering if someone leaves that you fill that place as soon as possible. As well as that, the annual general meeting is where we encourage sections and to celebrate the activities throughout the year. So it's where we announce who the new committee members will be, but also talk about what you did the past year. So an announcement is usually required to be published on our website as well. Another piece of work that sections do is provide us with a record of all their activities at the end of the year. So we encourage sections to try to update this spreadsheet throughout the year as the activities or as your events happen, as any special projects are happening. We always make sure that you put that in here because Blaze will use it to produce a report to council. And also we will make sure that a copy of this record is listed on your page under the additional information section. So please know that this is it's not just for our record, but it's to make sure we can publicize what good piece of work you're doing for the society. Any questions? Great. I'll move on to how we encourage sharing of best practice and knowledge as well. So as a society, we want sections to be as informed as possible about what we're doing, and we try and do it in many ways. So as things happen, I do send monthly updates, as I mentioned, on what upcoming deadlines there are at the society, but also what initiative or new initiatives have come out and we would like sections to take part in. So it's all listed within a monthly update. So look out for those emails, because as officers, we would encourage you to forward on that information to the rest of the committee. As well as that, as staff members create a report to council with the help for the CEO, and we basically will share that with you after every council meeting, so that you can see across the society how we are trying to deliver our activity strategic goals as well. So we will share that with you, so you can look at review the report and see whether there's anything you want to join in or collaborate with us. As well as that, Paul and I will attend your meetings and try to provide you with updates, answer any questions as well. So do look out for us at your meetings, and send any questions you have through us. And I'd also say as well, as a committee, if there are interesting work that we're doing and you would like to invite a staff member who's delivering that work to your meeting, please feel free to do so. You don't always have to ask those questions directly to Paul and myself. You can go straight to the team member or encourage them to attend your meeting as well. In terms of good practice, we do want sections and groups to know what each other are doing, and we want them to be able to share that information and network with each other as well. So every year we hold 2 meetings with sections. So the first one will be in February this year on the 22nd and 23rd. And the next one will be in September or October time. So the biannual meetings, it's a way for you to find out what other sections are doing, but also share any good work you've done throughout the year. So we always encourage sections to send representatives to that meeting. In the past, it's been face-to-face, but due to the pandemic, we've had to take everything online. So the networking aspect is not really possible as it used to be, but hopefully you still are able to find out what others are doing, and you can maybe work with them to deliver similar activities too. So as I mentioned, this is the monthly update, which I try to send to all sections and groups. So do look out for these emails, and please help me send them across to the rest of your committee too. So all the document resources I've mentioned are stored in a repository for sections and groups. So as a committee member, you should have access to what we call the information center. It's stored within my RSS, and you should be able to find out on your page when you're logged in. So we put all the guidance documents there. So the regulations, any event guidance, marketing templates that we provide, it's all stored there. And the user guides, which I mentioned as well, do have a look if you're wanting to use your Microsoft packages for other activities. Have a look at the user guide section for this information. So hopefully we're able to provide you. You don't always have to come to me for the documents you need. You can always go log into your RSS account and find the information yourself. So are there any questions from anyone?
Not from me. I've just checked and I can see all that information, so that's really useful. Thank you. I think our list of members is a little bit out of date. I think it's missing a few. I don't know if Emily mentioned, but no, the website looks great, and those links all work for me. So thank you.
Yeah, just to mention here, we do have some technical issues on the website, which is delaying I'll work on updating all the committee membership pages. So please bear with us on that side, but it should happen in the next week.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions?
No, all good with me.
Great. I shall hand over to Paul to cover events and conference support.
Thank you, Amika. First of all, just to introduce you to the conference and events team, which is myself as the manager and my colleague Luth, who's the conference and events officer, and who, if any of you are involved with organising events, Luth is the person who helps you actually get the event happening. And we'll cover some of that shortly. So we sit in a different part of the staff organisation. So we're in the training, events and commercial team, which you can just about see on this graphic. So what does our team cover? Well, one major part of our activities is the annual RSS Conference. But in addition to that, we look after the Society's keynote lectures, including the beverage lecture and the President's address. We support you guys with your meeting programme. We also support local groups with their meetings. And from time to time, we will be involved with events jointly organised with other organisations. And then we finally have the sort of catch-all category of other special events, which is often where the chief executive or the president decide that there's a particular topic they want to focus on, and we'll help organise an event around that. So in terms of the support we give specifically to sections and special interest groups, one key document in this is our event checklist, which helps you to sort of plan your event from start to finish, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a moment. But essentially, myself and Beth are here to help you right from the moment that in your committee meeting you're sort of fleshing out a particular idea for an event, right through to the delivery of the event and anything that needs to happen post event. I will also help you with working out the budgeting and the finance for your events, and I'll cover that in a bit more detail shortly. We will take responsibility for setting up registration pages for you on the website, and then when everyone's registered for the event, we're sending out the relevant joining instructions to those people. We're also able to give you support with promotion of your event, whether that's through ensuring your events in the fortnightly RSS newsletter or the dedicated events newsletter, which comes out roughly every 2 months, and also working with our colleagues in the web and social media team, helping you promote your event via social media. And then we're also there to support on the technical side of events. Now, obviously, the past couple of years, that's all been online, so we've been able to offer support on hosting your events on Microsoft Teams and helping with rehearsals and sort of the on-the-day support that you may need. But hopefully, over the course of this year, we'll also be able to start giving you support in holding your events at Elwood Street as well. So, and again, I'll talk a bit more about that later. But one of the aspects of that is helping you with, making your room booking and what equipment and so on you're going to need to deliver your event. So we do produce, as I say, an event planning and promotion checklist. It is just a slight refresh, which hopefully will be done in the next few weeks. But essentially, the checklist provides you with the timetable for developing and delivering your event. So It covers deadlines for how far in advance you need to think about booking a room. Also, suggested timetable for how you might promote the event. Reminders of what information needs to be provided to us when. Details of the various guidelines that you can refer to, and as Amika's mentioned, lots of those are stored in the information centre, but the checklist just gives you a reminder about which ones there are, and then a checklist of the final preparations that all event organisers and speakers will need to pay attention to in the week or days running up to the event. And it also covers post-event activities, such as if you're collecting feedback or writing up your event report to go on the website. Now, a couple of other things I just wanted to briefly mention. In terms of promotion, within the information set, you will find templates for flyers. For events, which is just a case of dropping in the relevant information for your event, and I think our marketing managers developed a few different options on that, and hopefully again, these can be used obviously to email out to people, but hopefully over the course of this year there'll be more opportunities for sort of actually having printed flyers to give out to people. And the other thing I wanted to just quickly draw your attention to is the Society's activity and event conduct policy, which is on the website and is something that we would always encourage you to draw the attention to of your attendees at your events. It's a very common sense policy, but again, it's always good to give people a reminder there is this and what the processes are if something goes untoward at an event. So I mentioned about support on budgeting and finance for your events a bit earlier, and essentially I'm the budget holder for section and special interest group events, and I suppose putting it bluntly, nothing can be spent on organising an event out of that budget without my approval. So what I will do is whenever a in-person event is being planned, right at the start, I will talk to the event organiser about what the expected costs are in terms of speaker expenses, any catering that's going to be required, etc. And we're produce a budget and work out what income needs to come in to cover those costs. And essentially, there are two things that factor into this. Is that one, the site is very keen that events is an area where we differentiate between the service that is provided to members as part of their membership fee and the service that's provided to non-members. So the impact of that is that generally non-fellows will be charged a registration fee for in-person events and for many online events, whereas most online and many in-person events will be free to fellows. For in-person events that take place at Elwell Street, as I've mentioned before, we'll calculate a budget and work out how much non-members need to be charged. There will be occasions where we will also need to charge fellows, and most often that is when lunch is being provided as part of the event, which obviously adds a substantial cost, and also if there are quite a few expensive speakers coming to the event. But always in that, fellows will always be charged less than non-fellows if we do need to charge fellows for the event.
Paul, I'm surprised you said about expensive speakers. Do we run events while we pay speakers then?
I just mean travel expenses.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. No. Good point to clarify. We don't usually or ever pay appearance fees. So we're literally talking about travel and accommodation expenses there. But there is a whole document that covers all of this.
Got it.
Okay. So where are we in terms of events for this year? as it says, that in-person events will recommence at L Street once current restrictions are lifted. Well, since I last presented this slide, the current restrictions are in the process of being lifted. However, our first scheduled in-person event isn't until March, so that's going to take a little while to obviously pick up with the planning process. But yeah, L Street, as of next week, will be reopened for that purpose. Now, for 2022, the business days that L Street is automatically open on are restricted to Tuesdays and Wednesdays. However, events and meetings can be organised for the other days of the week, but it is subject to staff availability for opening the building. So, I mean, we've always said, make sure you always check your dates with us as early as possible, and that applies even to online meetings as well if you require staff support. But it's extra important now that there's slightly restricted opening of the building if you do want to hold an in-person event at L Street, because essentially you need to make sure that Luth and I are both available on the particular day, and we're not on leave or anything like that. So really do stress that advanced planning is going to be even more key going forward. Generally, we're expecting a mixture of in-person and online events. I know from talking to various sections that are committee meetings, there's different views on this. Some people are really keen to get back to in-person as soon as possible. Others recognise that being online has actually helped grow audiences, and they're quite happy with that. But it would be a mixture going forward, and we're happy to support whatever options you decide to go with. But my general advice is that the format of the meeting should really always be driven by the topic, what you're trying to achieve from the meeting, what the speakers are comfortable doing, and indeed where they're based, and where you think your audience is coming from. And I think it's really that if you expect, for example, if an important part of an event is the networking, the interaction between the talks and so on, then obviously in person is always going to be better than online. But equally, if your key speaker of an event is based in the United States and they're not coming over to UK for any reason, stick with an online format. So really just at the start of the process, think about what's going to work best for you. Now, Amika mentioned a bit earlier about us encouraging interaction between different groups and so on. Got here a list of the 19 local groups that we have, and we do always encourage sections and SIGs to, over the course of their annual meeting programme, to particularly as we get back to in-person events, to think about holding events elsewhere in the country, not just using L Street. Much as we'd love to see you in London. So do factor that into consideration, and we've said that obviously we're saying the same thing to local groups, so you may find local groups coming to you if they're organising an event on a particular topic that fits within your remit. They may be keen to work with you on that. So that's all I've got to say about events. I'm going to move on to talking about conference in a moment, but I'll just pause here if there's any questions specifically about event organisation. No?
All good.
No.
Trust. Great. Okay, I shall move on then. Some key points about the RSS conference. Pre-pandemic, we were going along quite nicely with having generally around 600 attendees from 30 to 40 countries. Obviously, in 2020, we went on. We had to adapt to going online, which worked well. It was a different sort of conference, but got lots of good feedback. But then for last year, we decided to go ahead with the in-person conference in Manchester, but alongside that, adopted a blended approach. So an in-person event, but with online access to a selection of the sessions. We haven't made there hasn't been a formal decision on what we're doing for this year, but I'm personally, as conference manager, I'm hoping we're going to continue with the blended approach so that we give greater accessibility to people who can't travel to the conference. In terms of conference planning, it is a long planning cycle. It's over 2 years for each conference, from initial venue search through to delivering it. And as part of that planning process is important one in development of the programme is the invited topic sessions and workshops that form a major part of the programme. We usually have around 50 or so of these. We've actually had a record number of submissions for this September's conference coming up, so the programme will feature over 60 invited topic sessions and professional development workshops, which is brilliant. The key thing about this is anyone can propose an invited topic session or workshop, but as Amika referenced earlier, we do really encourage sections to get involved with this, and the bulk of the sessions are organised by sections and special interest groups. We now have, I think, the vast majority of sections and SIGs contribute every year. There's a few that don't, but we really do encourage you to do that. And it's for a lot of sections, it's a great way to build your profile and make contacts with a wider group of people. We've obviously been through that process for this year, so this is to flag up early that the proposals for the 2023 conference will be due in by November this year, and the deadline does creep up on you quickly. We'll start the process of asking for this over the summer, but it does have it factored into your committee planning for this year. The other point is that it's less relevant for you as a sectional SIG, but if you're somebody who's at a university department, we do encourage venues who are bidding to host the conference to contact local RSS local groups and if there's a local stats department to get support for their bids. So if you're based in an academic department in an area where there's a major conference centre, your department may be hearing from them. So the conference is divided up into topic streams, and which the current ones are listed here. And as you see, there's some there that are directly relevant to particular sections, and where you could pretty easily go, oh yeah, we're submitting something in there, but don't feel that you should be pigeonholed to the stream that sort of links most closely. It's not a rule, and obviously there are other sections where there's not a natural link, so you may have to be a bit more creative in terms of where you fit into the structure. But we hope there's a way for every section of SIG to contribute to conference. So in terms of future RSS conference dates, this year we're in Aberdeen, and as I say, the planning is already quite advanced on that. We've launched the submissions, contributed talks and posters, registration's open, and within the next couple of weeks the draft programme will be available. In terms of 2023 conference, we haven't formally announced this, so this week section and group officers are getting a bit of a scoop. That we'll be going to Harrogate for next September's conference. And then in terms of 2024, we're just about to get the selection process underway for a venue, and that will hopefully be announced later this year. Okay, and I'll just finish off with just giving you a few key contact points for event and conference support. As I say, if you've got any questions around overall planning of your meetings programme, budgets for meetings or marketing, please come to me. If you've got queries about registrations for an event or the logistics of delivering an event, then Luff is the person to speak to. You can speak to either of us about booking a room at Elwell Street. Then in terms of your event reports, my colleague Sarah in the web team is the contact for submitting those. Okay, that's all from me. So any final questions around conferences or events?
All good?
No.
Okay, in which case I will hand back to Blaise.
Right. Does anybody have any questions of any nature on any part of what we've talked about? Okay. Well, before I close the meeting, I just want to say that we're here to help you. So if you've just taken on a committee role and you're a little bit scared that you're not sure what it involves, or you want some more repetition of what the commitments are, please get back to us. You will be supplied with these slides, and a recording will be available, so you can refresh your memory. But if there's anything that's bothering you, feel free to come back to us. We're here to help you to succeed. Okay, so with that, I will, if nobody else has got any queries of any sort, I will close the meeting. And thank you for taking the time to come. Okay.
Thanks very much.
Okay, bye.